Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. He's Hacker.
Talk about a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Monday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you, back from vacation. I am happy to report that the gate code worked. It's always good, right? When you go back from a week-long vacation, if you can still get in the building, that's always off to a positive start for the evening festivities. So thankfully, the gate code is in, I am in, and I am very happy to be back with you as it's training camp week. How did we get here so quick? The veterans report tomorrow. The rookies came in last Friday, and they are on the field at the Miller Electric Center Wednesday morning at 8:30. Of course, we will be down there every single day of Jaguar training camp. Certainly looking forward to that. We will talk a lot about the Jacksonville Jaguars coming up tonight. Brian Sexton of Jaguars.com will stop by in less than 20 minutes. Also, Ben Arthur of FoxSports.com covers the AFC South. And it is our AFC South preview week. We have been through every division in the National Football League dating back to Memorial Day all the way through the summer. And now the final week is AFC South week. So we will go to Nashville right about 9 o'clock tonight. Tyler Rowland is the host of the Locked On Titans podcast, and we will talk about a team that had a very active offseason in the Tennessee Titans. So we are absolutely loaded guest-wise. I did want to say a couple of things right off the bat. Number one, Orange Beach, Alabama, Gulf Shores, Perdido Key out there in the Panhandle, basically, Floribama, that bar area out there. Man, that is a hidden gem. That place is absolutely outstanding. I spent a week out there, and I'll tell you this, I have consumed, well, quite frankly, a lot of alcoholic beverages in my 40 years, 19 of which have been legally consumed alcoholic beverages. I found a new favorite. The Bushwhacker. I'm sure some of you have had them out there. No, that's not on Awaken 180. I took a little bit of a break, but I'm still down 80 pounds, and I'm right back on the program. But I will tell you, those Bushwhackers, man, good heavens. I think that is my favorite alcoholic drink, bar none. And because of Awaken 180 and the fact that I lost 80 pounds dating back to February 20th, Denmark, I was able to go parasailing with my wife.
How was that?
Oh, my gosh. I would have never been able to go parasailing 6 months ago. In fact, literally, I couldn't have done it. There was a weight limit for how much you can weigh to parasail, but I am significantly under that now because I've lost all that weight. It was fantastic. I had been once before, like when I was 15 or 16. So we're talking 25 years in between parasailing adventures. And we went up right as the sun was coming down. We were probably 150 some odd feet in the air over the Gulf of Mexico. Man, that was absolutely sensational. So between parasailing, Floribama, getting some beach time in, enjoying time with Little Hack there at the pool where we stayed at, absolutely terrific vacation. But for those of you that have listened to me over the years, it's pretty obvious there is a vacation season and then there is a football season. And vacation season's basically over. I got one more Friday in August, and that's it. It's football season from here on out. We are a month away from college football. We are less than 36 hours away from the Jaguars being on the field for training camp. So absolutely great to be back with you. Dylan Denmark, I know you did some time up in Boston right? How was that experience for you?
That was good. It took a lot of steps. I think I walked the entire city, took a tour of Fenway and TD Garden, saw a Sox game, which was basically everything that I wanted to see. It was pretty good up there. Man.
Yeah, I've done the behind-the-scenes tour of Fenway, too. That's a blast, man. I love Boston. I love Boston, and I love New York. Now, I love going there for about 3 or 4 days, and I always enjoy getting on a plane and coming back to Jacksonville. I've never been to Philly. You went to Philly recently. I haven't done that. But as far as Boston goes, as far as New York City goes, mark me down as a fan, man. I got to be a fan of Boston. My wife's family entirely is from New England. So if I didn't like Boston, that would be a problem. But I love that area up there. That is an absolutely terrific place to visit. But vacation seasons are almost over. In fact, we got High School Media Day next week. I know, Denmark, you guys, everybody in Duval County and the surrounding area, high school football practice begins what, next Monday?
Yes, sir. Monday, we start practice at 2 o'clock.
Oh, man. We're going to be under the Friday night lights before you know it. Year 18 of the Friday Night Lights postgame show, and we absolutely cannot wait. So we got a lot to get into. Again, Brian Sexton, Jaguars.com, comes up in less than 20 minutes. Every night here on Hacker After Dark, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night and Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal? What is the big deal?
No big deal.
It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
It's a big deal. It's training camp 2024 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Miller Electric Center. I actually went down and got my credential and my parking pass earlier today, and I am ready to go on Wednesday. Very excited about being out there to see this Jacksonville Jaguar football team take shape. And as we've talked about, really since Mitch Morse signed here, what was that, a couple of days prior to free agency officially beginning, so you're talking 4.5 months. You think about all the additions, you think about all the news from Joshua Hines Allen's re-signing to Trevor Lawrence's re-signing to the city council approving that stadium of the future. You're talking about maybe the most consequential offseason in the history of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Certainly in the conversation. And now here we go. Training camp gets underway. The Jaguars play a preseason football game in less than 3 weeks. And it's going to be one of the biggest training camps in Jaguar history because of the amount of change on the roster. You're talking in excess of 15 to 20 guys that are going to make the 53-man roster that were not here at the end of the 2023 season. The amount of new guys, the amount of new players is absolutely striking, and they got very short time to gel, right? The Jaguars are in Miami 48 days from today to kick off the season on Sunday, September the 8th. Couple of big storylines going into training camp, ones that I'm going to follow. And we'll try to pinpoint some of these tonight, some of these tomorrow, as we get ready for that first practice on Wednesday. How many true position battles will there be? I don't know for starting spots. I don't think there's going to be that many for starting spots. One that's popped up on my radar as of late, I don't necessarily know if I agree with this or not, but I've heard about this from enough people now that it makes you wonder if there will be a legit competition. Is there a legit competition at left tackle between Cam Robinson and Walker Little? We thought there was going to be last year. And then, of course, Cam Robinson had the suspension and never really materialized. Walker Little played some left guard as well up until he got injured. Cam Robinson came back. So we never really saw a competition between Walker Little and Cam Robinson. But it's interesting if you think about it. Both guys are coming into the final year of their contract. Both guys are scheduled to be unrestricted free agents following the 24 season. And, of course, Cam Robinson's got, 4 years on Walker Little. If you're going to re-sign one of those guys after this year, one would think you're going to re-sign the younger guy in Walker Little. Will there be a competition there? The entire offseason, I've been of the opinion that it's going to be Cam Robinson, Ezra Cleveland, Mitch Morse, Brandon Sheriff, Anton Harrison. I still feel that way, but again, I've heard from enough people now that lump Walker Little into a competition with Cam Robinson. So the left tackle position will certainly be something worth watching early on in camp. I think the secondary is maybe the most intriguing position going into camp. Tyson Campbell, you're pretty sure Ronald Darby, all right? Those two are here. Jarian Jones is here because he was a third-round pick. But then what happens with DeAndre Prince? What happens with Gregory Jr., Monteric Brown, Christian Braswell, Eric Hallett? The Jaguars have not gone out and brought in a veteran corner outside of Trey Flowers, who I would imagine at this point would probably be a long shot to make the roster. They have not gone out and signed a Stephon Gilmore or anybody of that sort. So obviously the young guys are going to have to emerge in camp. Which of those young corners will emerge? That is certainly a storyline. Wide receiver is an unbelievable storyline. Calvin Ridley gone, Zay Jones gone, Jamal Agnew gone. The only holdover is Christian Kirk. Throw Gabe Davis in, throw Brian Thomas in, throw Devin Duvernay in. How will that wide receiver core look in training camp? That is certainly a big story. Year 2 for Tank Bigsby and Brenton Strange. High draft picks. Those guys got to be better than they were last year. That's the bottom line. They've got to be better. Will we start to see signs of that when the pads come on early in camp? Eric Armstead is starting on PUP. I wouldn't worry about that. I believe he will be fine as we get closer to the season. But what about that defensive line? We've talked the entire offseason. Do they have enough on the D-line, particularly on the perimeter? We're going to find out pretty quick. It was very evident last year pretty quick they did not. We're going to find out again this year. Do they have enough, or will it be a reenactment of 2023? There's a ton of storylines, man. A ton of storylines. And don't get me wrong, I love coming in here and breaking it down with you guys every night on Hacker After Dark. I love it. But at some point, all the questions we've asked for the last 4.5+ months need to be answered. And some of those answers will finally start coming in the coming days and weeks as training camp is officially here. They are on the field for practice number 1 at the Miller Electric Center on Wednesday morning. A guy that will be down there, a guy that's been to every training camp practice for the long history of the Jacksonville Jaguars is my buddy Brian Sexton, Jaguars.com. It's almost an annual tradition now here on Hacker After Dark that we have Brian on right on the doorstep of training camp. Tonight is no different. Let's talk Jaguar offseason. Let's talk training camp preview with Brian Sexton of Jaguars.com. He's next on a Monday night edition. Hacker After Dark. Glad to be back with you. Back from vacation here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Dan Hicken.
We've been through a lot together, you know that?
Jeff Prosser.
Sure have, you son of a gun.
Son of a gun. You've been a true public servant. You can feel right proud of yourself, you know that?
Mornings on 1010XL.
You're not gonna cry, are you? I mean, you're so emotional, high-strung and everything.
Fine, I'm fine.
Hey there, weekend warriors. It's Matt Hayes. Sick of that slice? Tired of those 3 putts? What if I told you your handicap isn't about your swing, it's about your weight? Why not take strokes off your game by taking pounds off your frame with the Waco 180? We're talking 10 strokes off by August, getting your tour card by September, winning your first major, year 1. Think about it. Fame, fortune, and most important, winning $5 off your buddy because you, sir, are closest to the pin. Taking strokes off your game is just about 40 pounds away at Awaken180weightloss.com. Awaken 180 does not guarantee an immediate 10 strokes off your score, receiving a tour card, or the ability to control the weather. Individual results may vary. Your newfound athleticism might cause jealousy among your foursome, leading to accusations of steroid use. Awaken is not responsible for defending your honor in the clubhouse. Awaken 180 cannot guarantee that your newfound golf prowess will lead to a sponsorship deal, but we can't not guarantee it either. Awaken 180 is not responsible for any dramatic fist pumps or unsolicited golf tips you give to strangers. Awaken 180 does not offer refunds for any lost wagers made on your improved golf game. Bet wisely, my friend. Strokes off your game by dropping pounds off your frame. Awaken180weightloss.com.
men. If you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, Prime Men's Medical Center will get your sex life back in just one visit. Their painless, breakthrough medical treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Prime Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Prime Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments will restore your sex life regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. Plus, you'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients will have their testosterone checked free. Call 904-902-8222. 904-902-8222. To regain your sex life in just one visit, call now. 904-902-8222.
Time now for a medical recap. A health and wellness tip from Jaguars head team physician Dr. Kevin Kaplan.
Regular movement is key to so many health benefits. Aim for at least 10,000 steps a day. Decide to only take the stairs if you're walking less than 6th floor. Never park in the first 10 spaces of the parking lot. Walk during your work breaks. Get up 10 minutes earlier in the morning and take a short, brisk walk before the chaos of the day starts. There are so many easy ways to stay active. Let's get moving, Jacksonville.
Are your kids ready to play this summer? Come check out the Y. Summer is a time for kids to explore new things and expand the limits of their imagination. At the Y Summer Camp, every day is a new adventure. Kids can learn about STEM, arts and humanities, athletic sports, outdoor games, and more. Registration is now open, but space is limited, and spots are filling up quickly. Learn more and find your adventure at fcymca.org. Search Summer Day Camp.
Wake up and smell the golf balls.
Brunch with the Tour.
Tour news, tips, and inside info.
Uphill putt for birdie.
Brought to you by
Clearwater Irrigation. Brunch provided by Chick-fil-A. Tuesday morning at 8:30 on 1010XL.
Make sure your roof is ready for the next Florida storm by scheduling a free roof inspection with Universal Roof and Contracting. Save up to $1,250 on your roof replacement, plus flexible financing up to 15 years. Offer expires July 31st. Restrictions apply. Call 1-855-ROOF-HELP or click universalroof.com.
License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
Hun, the drain really smells.
Yeah, wow, it does.
I think it's getting backed up. What should we do? Did you just quack like a duck?
Yes, I did. Duck Rooter, your plumbing pros in Northeast Florida. Need help with a plumbing issue at your home or business? Just call the Duck.
When you're stuck, call the Duck. 904-862-6769.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods. Dandy subs and sandwiches. Look, we always want you to think about those great options as you're driving around Duval. But the beauty is, even as I'm dropping pounds, Dandy's got great options for me as well. Told you all about their protein packs, delicious salads that they have out there. They have fruit cups for on the go. You know what they have. Veggie snack trays. You can grab those on the go as well. Perfect, healthy snack. Dandy is the name to know when you're on the go. So stop into a Gates store anywhere around Duval and make yours a Dandy, and do it today.
This is your Mad Dad's Update with Chapter President Donald Ford. In our effort to curb crime, drugs, and violence during the summer months, we are offering Friday Night Lights. It has already started and will be going until school starts back. It is every Friday night from 6:30 to 9:30 at the Blacktop, 5732 Normandy Boulevard, and behind the Potter's House Christian Academy. We manage 3 basketball courts. You are not running on the cement. We have covering on each court. The Lakers, the Magic, and the Heat. Ages 15 to 40 years old. This will give them something to do other than selling drugs and getting into trouble. We have monitors there giving leadership. We have to wake up, stand up, and speak up. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think. Or MattDadJacksonville.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us in one of the best weeks of the year. Training camp has arrived. 197 days after the season ended, the Jaguars are back on the field Wednesday as training camp begins here in 2024. What's become kind of an annual thing for us here on 1010XL is talking to my buddy Brian Sexton right before training camp. That continues tonight as Brian is always kind enough to give us some time as we head into camp. Brian, how you doing?
Great. Better now that I heard you say 197 days. When you said 197, I thought you were going to say degrees. It's always blazing hot out there in training camp, and I'm having to get mentally ready for that year after year.
You know, it snuck up on us, right? I mean, there's been so much that's gone on from the stadium deal to the Trevor Lawrence deal, and we'll certainly get into those. But, man, it just seems like minicamp ended, and now here we are on the doorstep of training camp.
Well, they say the older you get, the faster days go by. And, in my mid-50s, I can tell you that it's exactly the truth, my friend. So buckle up.
Yeah, no question about it. All right, well, let's get into those two pieces of business. You and I haven't spoke since, and we'll start with the Trevor contract. Brian, it had to get done. It did get done. Your thoughts on the whole situation?
Well, I know there's people that are questioning, whether he was worth it. Listen, very few people who make that kind of money are actually worth it, right? But when it's a franchise quarterback and you have to have one to win, then he was worth it. Personally, I have a lot of faith in the young man. He's got all the things that you want. He's got the arm. He's got the physicality. He's got the mental side of it. He's the kind of leader on and off the field, inside the organization and out in the community that you want. If you're going to pay anybody, you want to pay him. And I was saying this the other day to somebody. When I saw him arrive, the brief interactions that I've had with him this offseason, but back in the program when it just was getting started in May, he looked bigger, right? I mean, he looked like he had taken the time and muscled up, from the waist up in particular, to make himself stronger and more capable of taking the hits that a quarterback takes in this league, and especially after the shoulder that he suffered last year in that game in Tampa. He needed to do that. I think he looks the part. I think he acts the part. And I'm grateful as someone who is fond of that organization that they have a guy that they can build around. It is much better to spend the money because you have to than not to be able to spend the money because you can't. And the Jaguars have a guy that they believe in. I happen to believe in him too. Glad they got it done.
Brian Sexton, Jaguars.com, with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Brian, that leads us to the stadium deal. You talk about a consequential offseason, good grief, from the Josh Allen extension to the Trevor Lawrence extension to the city of Jacksonville, getting what appears to be a 30-year-plus extension with this franchise. All it takes now is NFL owners' approval in October, and that stadium of the future is coming to Duval County. You've been around this team since the very beginning. Your reaction the day it happened and in the weeks since to that news?
Well, immense gratitude that they were able to get something done. Ryan, listen, as someone who lived through the, can they, should they, will they era of Jaguars football, go back to 2002 when Winn-Dixie had to buy all those tickets and handed them out in the stores. And it didn't look like it was going to be stable in Jacksonville. And everyone pointed to us when Los Angeles was open or St. Louis or London, and they said the Jags are gone. They're not going to make it. And Shad Khan came in here and brought Mark Lamping. And over the last couple of years, they have stabilized the franchise. They have found a way forward. And now they have given it the sort of rock-solid credibility that it didn't have in the early years, that it lacked. And so I'm grateful that they're there. The franchise and the market. I've always said that this has the chance to be a Green Bay of the South, a one-horse town. It's not a big enough city to bring in baseball or basketball. It's a one-horse town, just like Green Bay. And it's a town that deeply loves football and has a passion for the Jaguars. And I think now they're on that track to be one of those franchises. They need some wins, right? I mean, they need a championship to make that official. But what is settled in stone is that the Jaguars and Jacksonville are heretofore married. They will be together forever.
Brian Sexton, Jaguars.com.
That sounds good, right?
Oh, it sounds great. Absolutely. Because you're right.
For a young man that grew up with this franchise, you heard all that stuff too.
There's no question. It's kind of my age demographic, right? I'm 40, so guys my age, maybe a little bit younger as well. You know, we were the teenagers or just coming into our teenage years when the team arrived in 1995. And you're right. We lived through L.A. and we lived through London. And quite frankly, Brian, if Shad Khan doesn't buy this team from Wayne Weaver, I mean, who really knows what the Jacksonville Jaguars may or may not be right now? I don't think enough people have talked about that aspect of it, how lucky we are that Shad Khan was the man that bought this organization.
Well, and then along those lines, let me throw some love at Mr. Weaver, because there were opportunities there that were very lightly reported, behind-the-scenes sort of opportunities where Wayne could have gotten out and this franchise could have been sold to someone else. But he didn't do that. He waited because he believed in Jacksonville and he made a commitment to Jacksonville. And so Wayne Weaver's patience and his willingness to endure some lean years there, 08, 09, 10, until he found the right man who was willing to make the commitment to North Florida, who could make the commitment, who had the deep pockets and the business acumen to come in here and turn this thing around. Mr. Weaver deserves a lot of credit for that.
There's absolutely no question. All right, Brian, on Wednesday, training camp begins. Before we really branch out into individual topics, just your thought as a whole. A lot of fans listening tonight will make their way out there. You and I have been fortunate enough to be out there for OTAs and mini camps. The fans have not. They'll return on Wednesday. What are the biggest things you would tell them to look at when training camp opens?
Well, it's so different than the early days when they were hitting early, right? And they were hitting often. It was full contact practice. And really, it was all about the lines, right? Where you were focused on the trenches and the guys on both sides of the line and pace party, which is the pass rush drill and those sorts of things. They just can't do that anymore. They practice smart. They practice hard, but they practice smart. So I think everybody's going to focus on the receivers, right? I mean, my thing is this. Can they convert on third and short this year? Ryan, you know as well as I do, they were amongst the worst, if not at the very bottom of the list, of teams that converted on third down and 3 yards or fewer, which meant they were off the field in otherwise manageable situations way too often last year. It killed the continuity. It put them at a disadvantage. They could never get into the kind of rhythm that head coach Doug Peterson and offensive coordinator Press Taylor were working to get Trevor Lawrence into. So they've got to be able to do that. Now, they've addressed it with Mitch Morse. Ezra Cleveland's going to be the left guard. They were happy with him before he got hurt last year. They made that commitment. And then they go draft Brian Thomas Jr. And you think, well, he's a pass receiver. No. What he is a guy that every time he's on the field, because of his size, his length, and his deep speed, is going to have safeties focused on him, which means that they won't be able to crowd the line of scrimmage and stuff the run as easily. So if the Jaguars can convert on third down, I think Brian Thomas is going to have a huge hand in that. So I would say watch Brian Thomas, the rookie from LSU. Hey, you watch Gabe Davis, and everyone focuses on the passing game because, let's face it, it's a passing league. But for my money, watching their ability to convert on third down and short in the preseason games, because they're not going to do a lot of that on the field, that's going to be something to watch because it was a major issue for this team last year.
A couple of more for Brian Sexton of Jaguars.com. Brian, you mentioned wide receiver and offensive line, and those are two of the prime positions. You could lump a couple of defensive positions in as well. I think you and I talked about this a few months ago, the word competition. There's a lot of guys that have played football, regular season football in Jaguar uniforms, that are going to have a battle to make this team, particularly on the O-line and at wide receiver. To me, what the Jaguars did is they not only improved the roster this offseason, but they improved the depth of the roster. So some of these battles on the back end of the roster are going to be between guys that the fans know, and there might be some surprise cuts at the end of this thing.
Well, I think it was last year that people were just angry at Trent Baalke for 13 draft picks and guys they didn't know and guys they didn't think would make the team and positions that they didn't value. But that was short-sighted because those guys, are all guys. Throw Cooper Hodges' name out there, amongst the best examples of this. These are guys who are young, ascending players who have a year under their belt. Now, Hodges obviously was on injured reserve, but had the chance to get bigger and stronger this offseason. You have a laundry list of young Lions on your roster that you can now put out on that field and let them go and hunt for a job. And that's where you find the depth, right? You don't find depth in free agency. It costs too much. You find depth deep in the draft with guys that you have to draft and then develop. And I think they have done that. And another one is Christian Braswell, the young corner from Rutgers, who they really like. And they couldn't get him on the field enough. He struggled with some injuries last year as well, but a guy who's got some real potential and some skills. So this is a roster that they have built through the draft. They've brought some free agents in, obviously, but the depth comes from the draft. And it's going to be fun to watch some of these guys come up. And keep in mind now, you have to be able to do that, Ryan. You've got to make the most out of as many picks as you've got because you're now paying a quarterback at the top of the list. You're paying a pass rusher, right, at the top of the position group. So you have big salaries, which are going to eat up a bigger chunk of the cap. Jaguars have never had that, never. Now they've got a couple of guys who are eating up a big chunk of the cap. You have got to do a better job of finding guys that come in for a fixed price, that if they become stars, you find a way to pay, but you're drafting and developing behind them so that you can keep affording the guys at the top of the chart.
And look, there's no doubt that training camp is important for every team, and I'm not really breaking any news there. But when you look at the Jaguar roster, Brian, if you want to do a preliminary, 53-man evaluation, I could see upwards of 15 to 20 new guys that were not here in 2023. When you're talking about a 35 to 40% roster turnover, you got to gel, and you got to gel quick because we're 48 days away from Miami. So this thing's got to come together in a pretty quick amount of time.
It does. And, mix in a new defensive coaching staff, right? You bring in Ryan Nielsen this year, who's extremely well organized. And his focus on this team communicating, he made that at his first news conference. In every practice that I have been to, the way the breadth of communication between players, between position groups, both sides of the ball has been awesome to watch. I mean, Andy Reid said something earlier this week, and he said it's when you can win when you have coaches coaching players, right? But when you've got players coaching players, that's when you go from good to great. And I'm paraphrasing him there. He would know, obviously. That's what you've got. Nielsen demands it. There are a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of turnover on the roster. There's a whole new staff. But Doug Peterson said when he announced his new staff and when he announced the guys that they brought in free agency and the draft, that he was looking for a particular kind of person, right? A person who had been there, who had been in championship situations, who had achieved, who had won, who had proven their character on the field and off. And I think if you look at the men that they brought in this offseason, that's going to be a huge storyline. They brought in championship caliber coaches and players, guys who had been there and done that before. And I think that will help them through this transition that you reference.
Final moments, Brian Sexton, Jaguars.com. Brian, put the fan base's minds at ease. There was some trepidation about the Eric Armstead news beginning on PUP. I'm surprised why so many people were surprised. He's coming off a meniscus injury, but I would have to assume that 48 days from now, Eric Armstead should be fine for the season opener.
Listen, they knew that. They had a plan for him when they signed him. And when you sign a 31-year-old defensive lineman who couldn't really stay healthy last season, you have to have a plan for him, right? I mean, when you're going to spend the money on that now, you need to be able to justify, to lay out in very clear terms what you're going to ask from him and what he can deliver. And they have high hopes, and so do I. I mean, he is an impressive person and an impressive player. So they're going to work very gingerly through this one. They're going to give him time. They're going to be working with it. Ryan, the way that the way that training camp and rosters are put together now, it's really about evaluating the young guys that I referenced. You need those young guys to be able to, fill in your roster. You're not going to work Trevor Lawrence or Josh Allen too much either. So Yes, he's going to miss some practice time. You'd rather have him on the field, but he's not going to miss anything that's going to keep him from contributing when it comes to Miami on opening day.
Brian, as we wrap up, give Jaguar fans maybe a guy on offense and a guy on defense, maybe somebody not right at top of mind, one of those young guys that you mentioned that you think they need to take a look at when they start making it out to the Miller Electric Center on Wednesday.
Wow. Well, I mean, the first one is probably going to be on defense, and it's not really a young guy. It's Devon Hamilton. He's a guy that you want to focus on because he wasn't healthy last year, right? And he's going to be in a rotation this year with some big bodies. And I know that there are people with expectations of him and what he can produce this year. He's a guy to watch because if he's back, Devon Hamilton changes the game. Imagine last year there was no push on the pocket, Ryan, none whatsoever. And yet Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker combined for 27.5 sacks. Imagine what's possible if you've got a big guy who is pushing the pocket. That can completely change the game. And I'm excited to see that.
I completely agree. Devon Hamilton was a big loss last year. Like you said, even though he was out there towards the end of the year, he was not the Devon Hamilton that we saw at the end of 2022. All right, Brian, I know you guys are going to be super busy at Jaguars.com.
Sports sounds better on radio.
I love it. I love it.
You get the most live sports on 1010XL.
It's time to fire up your grill, shoot off some fireworks, and launch one of the biggest sales in the history of the United States. It's our independent sale happening right now at Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet. Whether you drive a car, a truck, or an EV, everyone is welcome to celebrate our independent sale with the lowest prices, largest inventory, and the most love for our country. Come celebrate with Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine or Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville. You don't want to miss this.
Meet Cheryl. Hey. She's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's gotta be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at salsa night.
These skirts should have pockets.
Or maybe she lost it at Pilates.
3 and 2 and...
But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Today's challenger, a paint color namer from Jacksonville, Florida. Meet Irving Stapler.
Hi, Howie.
So the next round is word association. I'll say a word and you give me the first word you think of. Engagement ring.
Jeweler.
Gas station.
Fueler.
Aaron Burr.
Dueler?
Air conditioning.
Wow. Jeez. It's a toughie.
Come on, Irv. The sponsor's going to kill me now.
Oh, Bueller. That's right, Irv. If your AC is struggling through the summer heat, the first name you should think of for fast, friendly, 5-star service is Bueller Air and Plumbing. The name to know to make sure you are cool.
Have a beer, Irv.
Cooler.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Hey folks, this is Dave Benyon with my son Ammon here from Zero Res. Ammon, you've been cleaning air ducts for a while now. What are some of the reasons customers might consider getting their air ducts cleaned?
There are many reasons. Many times, people suffer needlessly from poor indoor air quality produced by the conditions in their air system. Construction dust, the presence of bacterial growth, and years' worth of buildup all come together to make your air ducts a pretty gross place. If you suffer from allergies, have recently moved, recently remodeled, or have never had your air ducts cleaned, then now is the best time to call. By calling Zero Res, you'll have the peace of mind of knowing that you called the best of the best. Our state-of-the-art truck mount system and top-of-the-line service representatives simply can't be found anywhere else. Google Zero Res and read thousands of 5-star reviews.
So what kind of deals can I expect?
Just mention that you heard us on the radio, and we'll give you $100 off your air duct cleaning.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty great deal. Remember, folks, Zero Res,
spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
CEROREC. Zero Res.
Give us your hot take.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
On the 1010XL text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm awake and I speak English, so yeah, I do know what you're saying.
Be part of the conversation. 641-1010.
Calling all disc golf enthusiasts. Play It Again Sports Jacksonville wants your used discs. Now through June 29th, earn cash on the spot plus $5 in sports bucks for every $25 of disc golf gear we buy. Play It Again Sports also stocks new discs from your favorite brands like Innova, Discraft, Discmania, and more. Stop in today and shop our huge selection. Merrill Road near 295 in the Merrill Station Shopping Plaza or online at playitagainjacks.com.
Soccer fans, don't miss your chance to see teams from the English Premier League compete in the Stateside Cup right here in Jacksonville. Competition will be fierce when Wolves and West Ham United take the pitch under the lights at Everbank Stadium July 27th. It's Premier Soccer at a premier venue for one night only. Tickets are going fast. Buy yours today at statesidecup.com.
Does the building you go to work in every day need a little love and attention? Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Great companies take great care of the buildings their staff and customers walk into every day. If the building you're in doesn't match the vision you have for your company, we can help. Go to performance-painting.com. Our highly trained team makes the difference. Quality coatings applied with pride.
Performance Painting.
Hey folks, Mick in here for Zero Res. You and I know Zero Res loves cleaning carpets in your home. But did you know Zero Res can also clean the carpets where you work? Take a look at the floors where you work, and if they need cleaning, suggest to the boss they call Zero Res. For the month of July, Zero Res offering 20% off all commercial carpet cleaning. Call Zero Res, and they'll come out and give you a free estimate on what it will take to get the job done. Zero Res, man, you spell it forward. Zero Res, you spell it backwards. Zero Res, it's the right way to clean.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. You know, pool design has come a long way, and if your pool is outdated, Stanley Pools specializes in bringing older pools up to date for the whole family to enjoy. That's why I did it a few years ago, and man, I love the way my pool looks now after we added travertine pavers and so much else. Stanley Pools has been serving our community since 1988, so call them today at 269-7277 or find them online at stanleypoolsfl.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Thank you to Brian Sexton, Jaguars.com, for joining us here on Hacker After Dark. Our AFC South preview continues in less than 20 minutes. We'll head to Nashville. Tyler Rowland, host of the Locked On Titans podcast, as we will take a look back at a team that probably had the most active offseason of anybody. That was, of course, the Tennessee Titans, and one of those moves was bringing in Calvin Ridley from right here in Jacksonville. A lot of NFL news to get to as training camps are opening all over the league. Quickly, though, I want to give a little love locally to the Jacksonville Sharks. I went to the Sharks game on Saturday night. Took Little Hack there. It was his first arena football game ever. Boy, it was awesome. Now, the Sharks did not have the year they wanted. They were playing out the stretch. They were playing Quad City, Denmark. It was a big matchup. Did you see the way this game ended on Saturday night?
Yeah, I was there.
Oh, you were there? I did not see you, unfortunately. We were there in Section 114 getting after it. Me, Little Hack, my buddy Drew, and Heidi. And for those of you that did not see this, it was 37-37. Quad City's lining up for essentially what would have been about a 49, 50-yard kick to win the game as time was expiring. Ball is kicked in the air. It's short. My man for the Sharks catches it deep in the end zone, i.e. Chris Davis, Auburn, Alabama, over a decade ago. My man from the Sharks took it back over 50 yards with no time left for the winning touchdown. Absolutely incredible. It was awesome. Little Hack loved it. We will definitely be going back next year. I'll tell you this, man. Both the Icemen down there and the Sharks, they put on a great product. The Jumbo Shrimp as well downtown. Those games are fun. Those games are really, really fun. So that was a good time on Saturday night watching the Jacksonville Sharks win that game in a kick 6 as time expired. All right, NFL training camp opening up all over the league. In fact, some camps are already open. Everybody will be open by Friday. Most teams open like the Jaguars do on Wednesday morning. Green Bay is one of the teams that's already open, although Jordan Love is not participating. No, he's not injured. He wants a new contract. Jordan Love, according to his agent, will not be practicing with Green Bay until that new deal is done. Now, of course, Jordan Love is under contract to Green Bay, but he wants that new deal. Denmark, does that get sticky? I would think they're not practicing him because they believe a deal is going to get done sooner rather than later, and they don't want to take any chances. So I can't imagine this will be a elongated situation, but it's kind of odd that you see the franchise quarterback's agent come out and say, yeah, he ain't practicing until we get a new deal.
Yeah, they're just playing hardball for right now. They'll get a deal done.
I think it'll get done soon. I think he'll miss a couple of practices. Probably by the end of the week, Jordan Love will get a deal, and reportedly it's going to be a gigantic deal. And that's an interesting one because 12 months ago, going into the 2023 season, we did not know about Jordan Love. There were a lot of questions. And I would say there were a lot of questions about him up until about Thanksgiving of last year. Now, he played ridiculously well down the stretch, played very well in the playoffs, but Denmark, they're reportedly going to give him a ton of money, man. Have you seen enough from Jordan Love for him to warrant that type of contract?
I mean, I think it's more of they have belief in what they've seen in practice and how he's around his teammates and all that. I think it's a little bit more than, obviously the play on the field. I mean, if he plays the way he did down the second half of the stretch last year and they believe that's what they're going to see for the next 4 or 5 years, I mean, you got to pay him top of the market money. That's just how we all know how this works.
He's going to want more than Trevor Lawrence. He's probably going to get more than Trevor Lawrence. Does he deserve more than Trevor Lawrence?
I mean, it's not, does he deserve it? It's, hey, it's my time to get paid. This is what the top guy's getting paid. I'm getting that.
That is why it was so vital for the Jaguars to do what they did. They beat the market. They beat Green Bay and they beat Miami to the punch. They got Trevor done. Jordan Love's agent saw that. Tua's agent saw that. And now potentially hardball will be played in Miami and Green Bay because they're going to want to top Trevor Lawrence. Kudos to Jacksonville for getting that thing done. They want to get something done with Jamar Chase in Cincinnati, but according to team president Mike Brown, that is unlikely to happen this season. Jamar Chase set to become a free agent. Of course, he won't hit free agency. They have the franchise tag among other options to use on him. But with Justin Jefferson getting the money he got, that set the bar. Jamar Chase is probably going to want to equal that or top that. But it does not look like that's going to happen anytime soon in Cincinnati. Of course, Cincinnati's got their own issues as well with T. Higgins. We'll see what happens. Some good news for the Bengals. Head coach Zach Taylor came out earlier today and said Joe Burrow has been given full contact release. The doctors have cleared him. He's good to go for full contact. Of course, Joe Burrow will not see full contact until Sunday, September the 8th, but he can if he wanted to in the preseason or in training camp. Other news from around the National Football League. You know, people were so worried about Eric Armstead starting on the PUP list here. He can come off that list anytime. You're going to see that all over the place in the National Football League. You have seen that all over the place already. Trevon Diggs in Dallas is another one that's going to be on the PUP list. These guys will probably be able to play opening day. We'll probably come off of this thing in a couple of weeks, but they're just going to start on it. Again, Eric Armstead, how much do you really need to see from that guy? If you tell me, if Doug Peterson gets up there on Wednesday for his first press conference of training camp, and he says, you know what? We're not going to see any of Eric Armstead until Sunday, September 8th at 1 o'clock in Miami, Florida. I'm probably okay with that. Nothing good is going to happen from Eric Armstead practicing or playing in preseason games. The guy's 30-plus years old. He's been a team captain on a Super Bowl defense. I think Eric Armstead will be just fine. I don't need to see a whole lot of him in training camp, and I really don't need to see any of him in the preseason. Speaking of training camp, the Jacksonville Jaguars are not the only team beginning training camp. A lot of teams are beginning training camp, and that includes the Tennessee Titans. Again, it's time after Derrick Henry. It's going to look weird. Speaking of Derrick Henry, really quick, Derrick Henry out to prove a lot of the naysayers wrong. He's 30 years old. Normally for halfbacks, that means the end. Derrick Henry says, nope, I'm going to let my play speak for me. We'll see. It's going to look awfully weird seeing Derrick Henry in Baltimore purple and not in the light blue of the Tennessee Titans. Speaking of those Tennessee Titans, our AFC South preview this week. We will make stops in Houston, in Indianapolis. Tonight, it's all about the Titans. Calvin Ridley, Tony Pollard, L'Jarius Sneed, Kenneth Murray, Lloyd Cushenberry. They went on a shopping spree in free agency. What does it mean for Will Levis? What does it mean for first-year head coach Brian Callahan? Let's talk about the hated rival, the new home of Calvin Ridley. My buddy Tyler Rowland is the host of the Locked On Titans podcast. We review the Titans offseason next, right here on a Monday night edition of Hacker After Dark.
He won 3 national titles at Miami.
3.
Played in a Super Bowl with the Steelers.
Super Bowl.
And went to the Pro Bowl with the Jaguars.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
Leon Searcy on XL Primetime. Afternoons 2 to 4 on 1010XL. Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Awaken 180 weight loss. Awaken 180 weight loss. Let me tell you guys a story. Last year, we went on vacation to Orange Beach, Alabama. My wife went parasailing. I couldn't go. I was too heavy to go parasailing. Now this year, we just got back from Orange Beach, Alabama. I've lost 80 pounds thanks to Awaken 180 weight loss. And you know what I got to do? I got to go parasailing with my wife over the Gulf of Mexico. It was absolutely incredible. And it's all thanks to losing 80 pounds on Awaken 180 weight loss. The best weight loss program I've ever been on, and it's not close. If it's time for you to lose weight like it was for me, do yourself a favor. Do your family a favor. Call 844-346-1800 or go online, awaken180weightloss.com. They're changing lives. I'm one of them. I got to go parasailing. Thank you, Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Arrested? Got traffic tickets? DUI? License problems? Gun charges? Drug charges? If you've been charged with any crime, call me, criminal defense attorney Malcolm Anthony, at 285-4LAW. That's 285-4LAW.
1010XL Weekly is out now. Mia here, and text the word weekly to subscribe to our new 1010XL newsletter and for a chance to win Jaguars and concert tickets. Get an inside look at local sports, trending players, station info, and chances to win prizes all year long.
Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Hey guys, this is David Garrard, and I want to tell you about Clearwater Irrigation. They put my new sprinkler system in my new home at Jax Beach, and I couldn't be happier. Oh, hey, John.
What's up, Dave? You know what this means. You're going to have to sing.
Man, I can't sing.
Then you'll fit right in, buddy. Clearwater irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers. Hit it, Dave.
And drainage, too.
ClearwaterJacks.com.
The 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris feature incredible athletes and is the third time the Olympics will be held in Paris. If you're planning to attend, USAPark.net Airport Parking salutes your support of our American athletes. So no matter where you're going, whether you're traveling to the Olympics to support our athletes or just visiting Grandma, remember to park at USAPark.net.
Brackish Vodka, the official vodka of UNF Athletics, 100% made in Jacksonville, is available at all local liquor stores. Visit Browdy's, Total Wine, ABC, Shores, Golden, Sahara's, Golden Ox, and more. Drink our gluten-free San Francisco Spirit award-winning vodka and see why it's the smoothest vodka you can buy. When you drink Brackish Vodka, you support all of our local employees and all the money stays in Jacksonville. Drink Brackish Vodka and live life slightly salty. Proud partner of the Jaguars.
Former Jaguars corner and first-year head football coach at Duval Charter School at Bay Meadows, K-12, Aaron Beasley here. Are you looking for an A-rated K-12 school prioritizing academics, arts, and athletics? Duval Charter School at Bay Meadows offers a rigorous curriculum to develop strong minds with an additional focus on growing good hearts. DCSB has been an A school for 8 years, and our tuition is free. Now enrolling. Apply at baymeadowscharter.org.
Expert Automotive is ready to keep you cool this summer. Right now, get an AC inspection or a system cooling checkup. Your choice for only $19.99. Their gift to you this summer is $50 off any service and a free tire rotation with any service. Their ASE certified technicians can keep your car cool without breaking the bank this summer. Call them at 374-3373 to get an appointment today. Expert Automotive. They never sell greed, only what you need.
What is the world's largest freshwater lake? The answer next.
How long has it been since you compared homeowners' insurance rates? Log on to southernoak.com to get an instant quote or find an agent near you.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
Lake Superior has enough water to cover North and South America combined. It is the world's largest freshwater lake.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours. If you're looking for custom metalwork, look no further than Superior Fence and Rail. Whether it's custom railing, shade structures, or custom entry gates, their expert team controls the turnkey process. From CAD design and raw metal to powder-coated finish and expert installation. When you choose Superior Fence and Rail for your custom metal project, you get a project that's, well, superior. So get off the fence and call Superior Fence and Rail today.
Baseball is back. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, presented by FIS, takes the field this season at 1-1 Financial Ballpark as the AAA affiliate of the Miami Marlins. Tickets start at just $5, fireworks after every Friday home game, and kids run the bases after every Sunday game. JackShrimp.com. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, affordable, family fun.
Pross, I'm thinking about changing my name.
Again? You're already the media mogul, the straw that stirs the drink, the Duke of Pablo Bay. Now what?
Refer to me as Dreamfinders Danny Hicken.
What in the blazes? Is this a cash grab?
No, it's just that I believe so much in Dreamfinders Homes. 20 locations in Northeast Florida, official home builder of Jags and Gators. Great opportunity for first-time homeowners.
All right. Dreamfinders Danny it is.
Did I mention the lowest interest rates you can find? Visit DreamfindersHomes.com. Now let Dreamfinders Danny celebrate through the majesty of song. Dreamfinders, I believe they will build your home just right.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. For the past 2 months, we have been all over the National Football League, previewing every team and every division. This week, we wrap it up on the home front with the AFC South. We will make stops in Indianapolis. We will make stops in Houston, of course, right here in Jacksonville. But tonight, it's all about Nashville and the Tennessee Titans, of course, the brand new home of former Jaguar wide receiver Calvin Ridley. When it comes to the Titans, our guy up there is Tyler Rowland. He is the host of the Locked On Titans podcast, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Tyler, I trust your offseason went well, man. How are you?
Yeah, it was great, but it's about over now. It's time for previewing training camp, and the football's right around the corner. And, hey, summer break's always good, but I'm ready for some football.
Yeah, there's no doubt. We're on the doorstep of training camp, and what an off-season it was for you guys up there in Nashville. From a mile-high view, before we break down the individual moves, we knew Tennessee had a lot of money. You and I talked about that at the end of the season, and man alive, they spent that money. I imagine Titan fans have to be very pleased with what Rand Carthon did.
Yeah, you have to be. I mean, the team needed a lot of talent. There's no way that they were going to be able to compete if they didn't spend a lot of that money. And I think the situation with Will Levis, he's a rookie, was a rookie. He's on a rookie contract. He's going to be cheap for the next few years as a second-round pick. If you want to figure out if he's any good, if you want to try to win any games, you need to spend that money. That's the luxury that having a rookie-scale quarterback gives you, is you can spend some money where you wouldn't otherwise. And then the other factor is the Titans don't have any of their own young players that they need to pay because they missed on their draft picks in 2020 and 2021 and 2022. There's just not a lot of people who are set to be paid either. So with a young quarterback that's not expensive, with not a lot of players that need a payday soon, there's no reason to not go out and spend that money. They owed it to the fans to spend that money and put a good team on the field. And I think they've done a pretty good job.
I look at what Tennessee did this offseason as almost a replica of what Jacksonville did in 22. When they hired Doug Peterson, they brought in Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk and Foye Oluokun and on down the line. Let's talk about the head coach first. Brian Callahan in, Mike Vrabel out. You and I talked at that time. How has the offseason gone for Callahan there in Nashville?
Well, I think it's been good. I mean, obviously, on-the-field results are what are going to drive the conversation, whether Callahan's doing a good job, bad job. But a lot of the players have discussed the change. You know, people feel more free to be themselves. Seems like a more relaxed environment. And, hey, you want intensity in your football team. That's going to be important. But I also think that, you know, like I know, Ryan, anytime you're at a job where the boss is just a little over the top, it does wear on you. And when the wins aren't happening, that's not sustainable. And Mike Vrabel is, you know, for lack of a better term, a little rough around the edges. And I think everybody knows he's a very, very competitive guy, a fiery guy, a brash guy who will speak with a sharp tongue. And I think that, like I said, you know, that works when you're winning, that New England Patriots, I'm going to hammer you every day in the film room type style. But when you're not winning, that does wear on guys. And when you have a younger team like the Titans had in the last few years, younger players are just going to have a harder time dealing with that. And I think the change, like I told you, Mike Vrabel is a good coach. I'm not going to act like he's not. But he wasn't the right coach for where the Titans are at as a team. And I think Brian Callahan is more of a cultivator, more of a caring type person. And I think he's going to resonate more with the younger guys on the team. And this team needed an influx of offense badly. You look around the NFL, it is an offensive league now. And having a guy like Brian Callahan, who basically built the Cincinnati Bengals system from the ground up, changed the system in midseason and did all of that, I think schematically speaking and just personality-wise, Callahan's been an excellent change from Mike Vrabel.
Tyler Rowland is our guy when it comes to the Tennessee Titans. He is the host of the Locked On Titans podcast. He's with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville as our AFC South preview continues. All right, Tyler, Will Levis. We got a good sample size last year. Obviously, the Titans have to like what they saw because they went out and they spent a bunch of money to surround him with talent. We'll get to the free agent acquisitions in a moment. You cover the team as close as anybody. Your opinion on Levis last year and your thoughts on him moving forward?
I think flashes of brilliance is what we saw, but it was just too inconsistent. I mean, you got to see more of the good stuff we saw. But I think that what Will Levis showed in his first year is more natural talent and ability than a lot of other young quarterbacks have shown with more opportunity. I mean, Will Levis right now, he's not an elite quarterback. That's not what I'm saying. You know, people like to take my words out of context. That's just how it is. But he has two elite physical traits. His velocity on his throws, he can throw it as far and as hard and as fast as anybody in the league. He's top 5. And his release quickness, he gets the ball out of his hands very, very quick. Those are 2 elite physical traits that if he can catch up on the mental side of things, the processing, especially being in a new offense this year. Last year, the Titans had been in a play-action offense where you hit that play-action fake, you got 7 guys blocking. You have some time to kind of look around. There's only 2 routes that you have out on the field now. Like, it's just a little easier to be like, oh, I'm hitting this wide open guy over the middle after this play action fake. In Brian Callahan's offense, it's a little more timing based, a little more quick rhythm passing. So he's going to have to progress through his reads much quicker this year, just in nature with the different kinds of offense. But there are certain stats out there right now showing, the amount of incompletions that Will Levis threw due to him throwing an inaccurate pass. And he's top 10 in the NFL in terms of his incompletions weren't because of inaccurate passes. A lot of them were due to wide receiver error, which I know in Jacksonville fans know a little bit about. I saw some wide receiver error last year. But a lot of the advanced data on Will Levis shows that a lot of his big mistakes, his incompletions in the red zone, on third down, incompletions in general, a lot of it had to do with wide receiver errors, and the numbers back that up. So I think if Will Levis can get a little bit better help on the outside this year to go along with his natural talent, that'll go a long way as well.
I know in talking to you over the years, listening to your Locked On Titans podcast, you were one of the guys screaming this offseason, we love Derrick Henry, we respect Derrick Henry, his jersey's going to be in that stadium one day, but 30 carries for Derrick Henry is not the way the NFL works anymore. And, boy, the Titans must have listened to you because Tony Pollard, Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd, on down the line. I mean, your thoughts on the influx of talent there at the skill positions in Nashville?
Well, they absolutely needed it. I mean, back to the Will Levis point, how do you support a young quarterback? You don't, especially in the Titans' financial situation, which we talked about at the beginning, the Titans were never going to be able to go into the draft and put a proper supporting cast around Will Levis, one, because they're rookies and you just never know what you're going to get. And they didn't have a 3rd-round pick. They only had a 2nd-round pick, and then they didn't have another pick until after the top 100. So they didn't have the draft resources to build this thing young. I think that's something that they can do going forward. But, yeah, they needed, especially a speed wide receiver like Calvin Ridley. I've been banging the drum for the last few weeks that Calvin Ridley is the most important Titans offseason addition. They had one of the worst groups of wide receivers in the NFL in terms of separation data, actually getting separation from your man. And when you're DeAndre Hopkins, you don't need to separate. You can just go up over top of guys, catch the ball with one hand, all the stuff that Hopkins has been doing his entire career. But when the other guys are Nick Westbrook-Akine and Traylon Burks and Chris Moore, it makes it really tough to have open guys. Calvin Ridley is a guy who gets max separation. He runs with incredible speed. He's got great route running craft. I know I'm not, telling the Jacksonville folks anything new. They know what kind of player Calvin Ridley can be at his best. So I think what his skill set is fits so perfectly within the Titans offense and what they needed different from the other wide receivers that they had. Tyler Boyd is a classic chain mover, quick, short yardage guy. And in this offense, they needed a guy like that. I don't think you can count on anyone else on the roster to be that kind of player. And yeah, with running back, I said all along, last year, Derrick Henry is, a Hall of Famer. And the NFL has just changed, though. You can't pay one running back $12 million and hand it off to him 30 times a year. And quite honestly, or 30 times a game. And quite honestly, the Titans have been doing that for 25 years. And it's gotten them to one Super Bowl, one AFC championship game. Like, it's just time to modernize the philosophy here. And they've done that. And I think you got to give a lot of credit to general manager Rand Carthon for spurring that change forward away from the Mike Vrabel, Mike Munchak, style coaching. Like, they just needed something incredibly different. And I think the skill position players that they added show that the philosophy has changed on offense. And I think with Will Levis being a young quarterback in that rookie contract, you had the money to, he needed the help. And now, no matter what, Ryan, even if the Titans don't win a lot of games and they don't make the playoffs and all that, you're going to be able to figure out whether Will Levis is the guy going forward. And I think for the Tennessee Titans right now, that is the most important question that they need to answer.
Couple of more for Tyler Rowland, host of the Locked On Titans podcast. He's with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Tyler, teams normally don't bring in 3 30-plus wide receivers. In December, Tennessee will have 3 30-plus wide receivers. Is Tyler Boyd a one-year rental? What's Hopkins' future? Ridley signed a 4-year deal, so he's going to be there. But is this a tryout for Will Levis and then maybe get him some younger receivers moving forward?
Yeah, I think that has to be the plan. I think maybe you could do an extension with a guy like DeAndre Hopkins for another year. You know, he's going to be 34 if they give him a contract extension by the time it's done. So I think that's a possibility. But like I know, you got to build through the draft, and that requires getting some young players in. And I think the Titans will be able to do that going forward. They just didn't have the ammo to do that now. So I think that is going to be the plan. Tyler Boyd, I think, is a one-year rental. Maybe he comes back every year for the rest of Tyler Boyd's career is going to be a one-year rental. That's just the level of player he is and his age. So I think it was a good one-year rental to go get Tyler Boyd and fit him into Brian Callahan's offense, which he already knows, and he can kind of help other guys learn the offense. But I think that is going to be the reality here is the Titans still don't have a great roster long term here. The wide receivers are old. The edge rushers aren't good. The right side of the offensive line is still a large question mark. They need talent on the interior defensive line. They're still missing a starting safety. I hate their linebacker group. I do. So I think this team still needs a ton of talent. But what they did was they used that free agency money and the lack of guys that they needed to pay, and they supplemented the roster right now, and they can afford to do that. But I think absolutely the plan going forward has to be to add some younger wide receivers. I'll be honest, I'm a little disappointed they didn't do that this year. I was hoping for an Adonai Mitchell in the second round when he started to fall rather than Tavondre Sweat, who I really did not like that pick for the Titans. Positional value, the player himself, didn't like that pick at all. So they punted on the chance to do that, probably because they knew they could get Tyler Boyd and they paid Calvin Ridley. But that, edge rusher and wide receiver have to be the number one targets for the Titans moving forward. But for right now, they can afford to pay those veteran players and do it that way.
Tyler, as we begin to wrap up, you alluded to it there briefly. Last year, watching the Titans, and I kept a pretty good eye on them, obviously, being in the division, the offensive line was horrible in Nashville, except Week 18 against the Jaguars. They looked like the Hogs. And then the secondary was also very, very bad. Now, the secondary, they went out and got L'Jarius Sneed and Chidobe Awuzie, so they seem to have done something there. But is the O-line and the secondary clearly better than it has been?
Oh, I think the cornerback group, if you're being honest, the Titans have a top 5 cornerback group in the NFL now. I think you mentioned the 2 outside corners in Sneed and Awuzie, but Roger McCreary, going into his 3rd year, has been one of the best slots in the NFL, and he's been miscast at times and put outside because the Titans have had injuries and talent issues, and he's not an outside cornerback. He's 5'11" with T-Rex arms, so he needs to play in the slot. And when he's in the slot, though, he's absolutely tremendous. So I really like what they're doing there. Amani Hooker is a good NFL safety. I'm not going to call him great, but he's a good NFL safety. They don't have another safety, in my opinion, that's starting caliber, though. So they've been talking about getting one out of free agency, but I think the secondary has certainly improved. And when you have Denard Wilson, who's the Titans' new defensive coordinator, who is a secondary guy, that could really help you out there. The offensive line, it all comes down to J.C. Latham. I think Lloyd Cushenberry is a veteran who's going to play well at center. Peter Skoronski, talk about that Week 18 game against Jacksonville. Skoronski was an absolute wild man in that game, blocking 3 guys on Derrick Henry's touchdown run. So I think Skoronski's going to be massively improved from his rookie year. It all comes down to Latham. Titans first-round pick, J.C. Latham. It's just all-season workouts and all-season practices, but he has been as impressive as you could possibly be as a first-round rookie early on, which is great because Tavondre Sweat in the second round has been as unimpressive as you could be as a rookie early on in this stage. So Latham, whether he's a quality left tackle or not, which the Titans haven't had quality left tackle play in 3 years now, if he can give them quality left tackle play, not even elite, but just quality, starting level play at left tackle, having those 3 guys from center to left tackle, Cushenberry, Skoronski, and Latham, that'll totally fundamentally change the Tennessee Titans offensive line as we know it, even if there are still some struggles on the right side. So I certainly hope for the Titans' sake that Latham can pay off and be that, but it'll all come down to him, because if he is not good enough, and we're talking about does Latham need to go back to right tackle at the end of the year, then the Titans are going to be in a very tough spot. So it'll come down to Latham. But right now, just on paper, yeah, you're right. The secondary is much improved, and the offensive line has been much improved as well.
Tyler, final question. We've been making the rounds around the division this week. The vibe I get, look, Houston's probably the favorite. I'm not breaking any news there, although they need to be very careful of that because Jacksonville was the favorite last year.
Same thing.
Yeah, yep. Jacksonville, I mean, we're going to have 40% of a new roster. Now, I know we're excited about Gabe Davis and Eric Armstead, but a lot of newness here. Indianapolis, it all comes down to Anthony Richardson. But by and large, everybody I've talked to seems to still have Tennessee at number 4. I know following you and following other people in Nashville on social media, there's a little more ambitious folks in Nashville than maybe around the rest of the division. Can Tennessee compete in the division this year? Can they win this thing?
I certainly, I don't know about win. I think Houston is quite a level better than everybody else. And I'll be honest, it's because I think their quarterback is a level above everybody else. I love C.J. Stroud coming out of the draft. Just because he went to the Texans, I'm not going to back off that now. I think he's absolutely fantastic, an elite quarterback. And I don't think that Trevor Lawrence, Will Levis, or Anthony Richardson are that level of quarterback. So that gives Houston a big advantage. But out of the other three, I don't think the Titans are – I think people see it as Houston, and then there's Indy and Jacksonville together, and then Tennessee below them. I just don't agree with that. I think that Tennessee is right on the level with Indianapolis and Jacksonville. I think all of those teams have some fatal flaws and have some tough position groups that aren't that good, and all of them have quarterbacks that have been inconsistent. Lawrence has been inconsistent. Levis was inconsistent last year, even as a rookie. And Anthony Richardson, man, the whole NFL sphere has blown him up and hyped him up all season. Last we saw him, he was throwing left-handed in practice because his shoulder still hurts. The guy is always hurt. He's always been hurt. He always gets hurt. So I think that the Titans are right there with Jacksonville and the Colts, where they could either go 7-10, or they could be pushing for a wild card spot at the end of the season. So I don't think the Titans can win the division this year. I don't think they're quite good enough to surpass Houston, but I definitely think that they can battle with the other two teams and see if one of those guys can get a wild card spot.
I always tell people here in Jacksonville, if you want to stay up to date with the Tennessee Titans, Tyler Rowland, the Locked On Titans podcast, he gives it to Titan fans straight. I know sometimes you don't make those people very happy, Tyler, but you are the truth when it comes to covering the Tennessee Titans, and we're always happy to have you with us here on 1010XL. Enjoy the remainder of the offseason, man. Just a couple of days now until training camp gets underway, and we'll certainly be talking to you when the year kicks off.
Yep, you can smell the football in the air. Thanks for having me on, Ryan.
Splash into summer with 1010XL.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation. Light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to CarlsonDentalGroup.com. That's CarlsonDentalGroup.com for all of your dental needs.
Raid wants to know, what would you do if you could confidently face every day knowing you and your loved ones are protected? Would you sing along to your favorite song at the top of your lungs? Turn off the GPS and let your heart do the guiding. Go to the drive-thru and order one of everything. Feel the buzz of confidence of knowing you are protected with 65 years of insect science in your hands. Raid. Protection for everyone.
This is Chelsea with Renewal by Andersen Custom Windows and Doors. Here's what people are saying about working with us.
Installers were professional, courteous, and efficient.
Great customer service. On time, explained the process, and walked me through the installation. Amazing team.
Our experience with Renewal by Andersen was outstanding from the beginning to end.
Renewal by Andersen, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit rbafla.com.
License number CGC 1527613.
Renewal by Andersen, Custom Windows and Doors.
Hey there, all you fun-loving sports maniacs, a.k.a. taco lovers. Don here from Taco Lou. I'm quite proud to say that we have the best staff in all of Duval.
Don't you mean Louval?
Say hello to Lizzie.
Hello, Jacksonville.
I suppose I do mean Louisville. Say, Liz, what's your favorite cocktail to make?
The Double Barrel Margarita. It's Herradura, Tequila Reposado, orange liqueur, orange juice, and our homemade sour mix. We call it Lou Brew. Give it a good shake and serve.
Well, thanks, Lizzie.
Come in and hang with me at the bar. Taco Lou in Jacksonville Beach.
Start your Sunday off with a cup of Joe and some sports medicine intel. This is Joe C. inviting you to join me and Dr. George Bari for Breaking Bones every Sunday morning at 7:30. And if you miss an episode, just look for Breaking Bones wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and now that you have Honda boats on the showroom floor, tell them about the big boat sale.
We are excited. We got a big sale, 11th through 13th. You want to come on down, see us in person. Some of our boats are going to be up to $30,000 off.
Up to $30,000 off?
$30,000 in savings. It's a big sale event.
So they can start shopping online at cyclesofjacksonville.com. The size of the boats?
Anywhere from 19 to 24 foot, all with legendary Honda outboards.
Honda and Coach, check them both out on Atlantic near Regency. Cycles of Jacksonville.
This is David Lane. After suffering through several painful injuries to my shoulder, back, and knees, I've taken my issues to Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, and without fail, they've been a tremendous help toward solving my problems. If you have any orthopedic situations, don't procrastinate. Take action today. Give those aches and pains to the pros at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. You'll be glad you did.
Relieve pain and get back to life. SOS. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
The coolest thing going on right now is the summer fan sale with 3 ways to save at First Coast Lighting and Fans. Browse their huge selection of high-quality fans to match your desire for elegance, quality, and uniqueness. Buy 1 fan, save 10%. Buy 2, save 15%. Buy 3 or more and save 20% off summer pricing on all fans. Visit their showroom near the avenues while inventory is still available and discover the difference that locally owned expertise makes at First Coast Lighting and Fans.
This is Hayes Carline here to help you break free from the chains of pest infestation. The talk of this town is Kingfish Pest Control. By now, many of your neighbors have already joined the Kingfish Revolution, leaving their homes and lawns protected and pest-free. Now it's your turn. Call Kingfish Pest Control and say goodbye to termites, ants, mosquitoes, and other annoying pests. Trust me, you'll get exceptional service and understand why your neighbors and I use Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jaguars.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. Call 904-722-1111.
Instant Keys saves the day if you've lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call Instant Keys, 722-1111.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks and vans too, from Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, roll and lock bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality product and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
Are your kids ready to play this summer? Come check out the Y. Summer is a time for kids to explore new things and expand the limits of their imagination. At the Y Summer Camp, every day is a new adventure. Kids can learn about STEM, arts and humanities, athletic sports, outdoor games, and more. Registration is now open, but space is limited, and spots are filling up quickly. Learn more and find your adventure at fcymca.org. Search Summer Day Camp.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Thank you to Tyler Rowland of the Locked On Titans podcast. We'll keep it in the National Football League coming up. Ben Arthur, FoxSports.com, covering the AFC South. He's less than 10 minutes away. I did want to say this before we get to Ben Arthur. This afternoon I got word that Mark Carnevale of SiriusXM PGA Tour Radio passed away earlier today unexpectedly. That one hurt, man. Mark Carnevale was a guy, when I was on XL Primetime, he was really good friends with Joe Cowart. So I reached out to Joe and found out how he was doing. We had Mark on all the time when Joe and I did prime time, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago. And as recently when Matt and Leon joined us before I moved to nights. I mean, I can't tell you how many times we had Mark Carnevale on to talk golf. He was local here and 64 years old. Whenever we had him on, he would always ask me about my son and how my son was doing. And just that one stings, man. Again, 64 is way too young. Mark Carnevale was just a good guy. He was a fun guy. He really enjoyed what he did. A family man, obviously, and just prayers up to his family tonight because when I saw that earlier, that one resonated maybe more so than some others have. So prayers to Mark Carnevale and his family, gone at 64, and he will be missed. I always enjoyed talking golf with Mark, and that was a rough one earlier this afternoon. Not an easy transition to make, but it's one we will make here on Hacker After Dark as we get back in to the sports world this evening. Again, AFC South previews all week long as training camps begin to open. One of my favorites to talk about the AFC South as a whole is Ben Arthur. He covers the division for FoxSports.com and the Fox Sports app. Let's talk Jags. Let's talk Titans. Let's also talk Colts and Texans. Let's look around the entire division, a division that is drastically different now than it was when the season ended in January. Ben Arthur, FoxSports.com, joins us next on a Monday night edition of Hacker After Dark.
Here we come. 1010XL. Here we go. Here's all you need to know. Jacksonville Sports Radio is 1010XL.
Bueller Aaron Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Today's challenger, a paint color namer from Jacksonville, Florida. Meet Irving Stapler.
Hi, Howie.
So the next round is word association. I'll say a word and you give me the first word you think of. Engagement ring.
Jeweler.
Gas station.
Fueler?
Aaron Burr.
Dueler?
Air conditioning.
Wow. Jeez. It's a toughie.
Come on, Irv. The sponsor's gonna kill me now.
Oh, Bueller.
That's right, Irv. If your AC is struggling through the summer heat, the first name you should think of for fast, friendly, 5-star service is Bueller Air and Plumbing. The name to know to make sure you are cool.
Have a beer, Irv.
Cooler.
Stay cooler with Bueller. Visit BuellerAir.com.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. From GFL, Green for Life.
Here's your 1010XL First Coast Community Calendar.
The Hometown for Heroes Home Buyers Program helps you get your down payment and closing costs paid. Call to learn more. 574-7180.
City Rescue Mission has been providing food, clothing, and love for over 70 years to the homeless in Jacksonville. If someone you know is struggling, City Rescue Mission is here to help. Learn more about the City Rescue Mission at crmjax.org.
If you know someone with cancer and no insurance, call the U.S. Uninsured Helpline at 800-234-1317.
The Creeks Athletic Association in St. Johns County offers a variety of sports for children 5 to 18. Learn how to get your child involved at caaleague.org.
Builders Care is looking for volunteers, and there are so many ways you can help. Find out how at builderscare.org.
If you're involved in a community event and you'd like us to help spread the word, find out how at 1010XL.com.
Hey folks, Curtis Dvorak here. Are you a golfer, pickleball player, or a concert lover? Well, if you said yes to any of those, join me for the first ever Patriot Games on Saturday, September 21st at the Yards in Ponte Vedra. All proceeds benefit Operation New Uniform, which is a transition training program for service members, veterans, and military spouses. For more information, visit onuvets.org. That's onuvets.org. Hope to see you there.
College football starts here. If you miss any great interviews and reactions from ACC Kickoff, you can catch up or listen again
at 1010XL.com.
Brought to you by the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Local Union 234.
And Salvatore's Pizza at Tapestry Park.
It's back! The Big One sales event is here, and it's going on now at Arlington Toyota. Arlington has over 400 new Toyotas available. Cars, trucks, SUVs, and family vans. And that means now is the time to go big and go home in style. Plus, with every new Toyota purchase, you get Arlington's lifetime warranty and 30-day exchange program. But don't wait. The Big One sales event won't last long, so shop today. 10939 Atlantic Boulevard and online at arlingtontoyota.com.
Have you or someone you care about been arrested or had their driver's license taken away? I'm Susan Cohen, and I work with David Robbins at the law firm of Epstein & Robbins. We are experienced fighters for those charged with DUI and all criminal offenses. I've been named the best DUI attorney in the state, and David has been named the best criminal defense lawyer in Jacksonville. In your battle with the justice system, there is only one thing you need to know. Dial David 24/7 at Epstein & Robbins, 354-5645.
Clearwater. John, I can't even mow my side yard. It's so soggy. Man, my builder sucks.
Brent, calm down. This is a common problem in neighborhoods where houses are built too close together. You need gutters and a properly installed French drain that will soak up subsurface water. We can completely dry it up.
So I can take my builder off my speed dial now, huh?
Yeah, we got you, buddy. Let that builder bitterness go.
Clearwater irrigation and drainage too.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555, Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, your home for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and it is a great time of year as training camp gets underway this week as the 2024 season gets ready to kick off. What about the Jaguars? What about their standing in the AFC South? It's an AFC South that looks a lot different now than it did at the end of 2023. With that, my buddy Ben Arthur does a great job covering the AFC South for FoxSports.com and the Fox Sports app, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Ben, I trust your summer went well, man. How are you?
Doing well, Ryan. How are you? It's good to be on again. It's been a while.
It has been a while. We talked about right at the end of the draft process, and we said we'd have you back on to preview training camp, and here we go. And Ben, a lot has transpired here in Jacksonville, from the new stadium deal to the new deal for Trevor Lawrence. Let's begin there. Your thoughts on the Jaguars locking Trevor Lawrence up for the next 5+ seasons?
Yeah, I think ultimately it was the right move. I know there was a lot of chatter just about it, right? Because he has been so inconsistent, and the turnover issues, and we all know kind of what happened last year with the team as a whole. But just the whole debate about whether he's actually worth the money he ultimately got. And look, the market is the market. Trevor isn't the best quarterback in the league, but he's not as bad as I think some people nationally specifically have kind of painted him out to be. And I think we've seen him play at a really, really high level. We saw it at the end of 2022. We saw it when they started 8-3 last season. He has a lot of things to clean up, sure, but we also have to keep in mind all the issues the Jags had around him, right? The run game, the O-line, the wide receiver injuries, just a whole bunch of different factors played into kind of the year he had, right? So ultimately it was the right move. And look, if Trevor maybe plays more consistently to the level that kind of everyone thinks he can, like that deal is going to look like a bargain in the long term, because we all see the way these quarterback contracts are going. And so ultimately, I think it was a win for both sides. Trevor gets his money now, and the Jags get their guy locked up and potentially at a discount if he continues to ascend as they hope.
Ben, you've covered the Jaguars and this division for some time now. You talk about consequential off seasons in team history. I mean, the locking up of Joshua Hines Allen for 5 years, and I've been working on that name. I'm going to dock myself a quarter every time I revert back. It's Joshua Hines Allen. And then Trevor Lawrence, as we mentioned, and the stadium deal that all but ensures Jacksonville is going to be here for the next 3+ decades. Never mind all the free agents they brought in. You mentioned Brian Thomas as well. I mean, there was a lot of stuff here in Jacksonville during this offseason.
Yeah, there was, and I think it kind of speaks to where the Jaguars are at, just from a perception standpoint. For so long, they were this kind of joke of a franchise, right? Run poorly, a bunch of losing, and Trevor Lawrence comes in, and that kind of you had the Urban Meyer era at the start, right? But Doug Peterson comes in year 2 and start of a culture of winning starts to brew, and people can see right where this thing can go. And I think as you look at this team that the Jaguars have now, probably the best team that they've had around Trevor Lawrence. They have Doug Peterson, as I said, getting the stadium deal done, as you discussed. I mean, this team has a bright future for the first time in a really long time. And so I think all of that goes into the pressure of this season, right? It's pivotal that they get back on the right track like they did at the end of 2022, because they completely fell apart last year. It kind of ruined all the momentum they had, not just on field, but I think just from a perception standpoint, league-wide and nationally. And it's really important to get back to that. And I'm sure Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke feel the pressure, right? Because if this ship doesn't get righted, there's a good chance that they're out of the picture. So I think there's a sense of kind of what's at stake because of the promise that we've seen this team has shown us in flashes over the last 2 years. So it's kind of time to put it together just in terms of the on-field product.
Ben Arthur, FoxSports.com and the Fox Sports app covering the AFC South. He's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Ben, we've been through every division over the last 2 months, one a week. We're ending this week on the home front in the AFC South, which is obviously your specialty. So let's dive in. We talked a lot about Jacksonville tonight, obviously. We talked a lot about Tennessee tonight. Let's begin there. The Titans begin training camp later on this week as well. You want to talk about a lot of roster turnover here in Jacksonville? Well, good gracious. There's a ton of roster turnover in Nashville and a brand new coaching staff on top of that. Level of excitement as the Titans begin camp up in Nashville on Wednesday.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing first of all, there is a lot of excitement in Nashville because of the moves they've made, the new coach, the whole new philosophy, actually wanting to pass the ball, which hasn't been a thing here in Tennessee. But I think for me, the biggest word is just intrigue, right? Like, how is this all going to come together? How is Brian Callahan going to look as this first-time coach who's never called plays, but he's going to be the offensive play caller? How's that going to work? How is Will Levis going to take that next step that they hope? Is the offensive line going to finally be righted? Is this wide receiver room, this revamped, supercharged receiver room, is that going to facilitate the growth that they want to see in Will Levis? This defense, what is that going to look like? I mean, on paper, particularly at the cornerback spot, they could have the best cornerback. They might have the best cornerback room in the NFL if L'Jarius Sneed is healthy. So, like, how is that going to come together? So there's so much going on with the Titans, a lot of change, a changing of the guard. I mean, Derrick Henry isn't in town, of course, anymore. So I think the biggest thing for me is intrigue. Like, how is this all going to come together? So it's going to be really fascinating to watch.
Well, the thing is, too, I mean, and you mentioned it, Well, they spent money to put people around Will Levis. Obviously, Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins a year ago, Tyler Boyd, Tony Pollard. I mean, you go on down the line, they're going to figure out pretty quick what they have with Will Levis. And with that comes some expectations, I guess, for the second-year quarterback, right? Dare I say even a little bit of pressure on Will Levis this year.
Yeah, this is the year, like the Titans need to know if he's the long-term guy or not. That is the number one objective of this season. Of course, you want to make the playoffs, you want to win and all that, but they need to know what they have in him. And every move that they've made, conversations I know that have taken place in-house, it's like, is Will our guy? And that's why they invested so much in the wide receiver room. That's why they drafted J.C. Latham to be their left tackle at number 7 overall. That's why they brought in Tony Pollard, pairing with Tajay Spears to create like this versatile like pass, just create this optionality in the backfield with your backs to take even more pressure off of Will Levis. And then building up this defense, particularly the secondary. It's all about giving Will Levis the best chance to succeed. So is it going to succeed? I mean, we'll find out. They're going to find out one way or the other.
A couple more for Ben Arthur, FoxSports.com and the Fox Sports app, here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Ben, as we go up to Indianapolis, I guess it's as simple as, is Anthony Richardson who they believe he is? If he is that, Indianapolis is probably talking playoffs. If Anthony Richardson gets hurt again, or if he's not the guy they think he is, well, it might be a down year up in Indy. Is that really as simple as it gets?
Yeah, I think that's the big thing, right? Anthony Richardson's health. They can win games without him. I mean, they had Gardner Minshew. He made it to the Pro Bowl. They won 9 games. They were a first down conversion essentially from being in the playoffs. So they can. Shane Steichen can work with what they have, but Anthony Richardson makes the difference between them maybe squeezing in, them being a fringe playoff team, to them actually being really, really competitive in the AFC. So that's the big thing. How's his shoulder doing? From conversations I've had, it sounds like Anthony is doing really well. Like a conversation I had with his trainer, or one of them, is that he looks maybe the best he's ever had, and that his efficiency just from a throwing standpoint could improve, just because of the shoulder injury, they've had to basically start from ground zero with building up his arm again. And through that process, they feel like he's actually more efficient. He could be more efficient. We could see that in the completion rate and all that jazz. So, I mean, that kind of remains to be seen, but I know behind the scenes they're really confident. But yeah, it's going to be like, can he protect himself when he's actually out there? I think he definitely learned his lesson in this first year, last year as a rookie, just in some of the experiences he's had, needing to slide, doesn't always need to fight for those extra yards. And I think from the Colts perspective, knowing that you're going to have Jonathan Taylor the full season is going to help a lot, because if you remember, there was that nasty contract stalemate with the Colts, and then it really took him a while to get going again. We didn't really see the old Jonathan Taylor till the end of the season. And so now he's coming into this year healthy. There's no issue with the contract. And so actually getting to see Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor play together, because they only played 1 or 2 snaps together the entirety of last year. So I know that's something the Colts are banking on as well.
Ben, I want to end with Houston. Final thought on Indianapolis. Jonathan Taylor's terrific. Michael Pittman Jr. is very, very good. Do they have enough after those 2 guys at the skill positions, in your opinion?
That's a good question. I'm kind of in the camp of they should have done a little bit more, because I think we've seen kind of in the NFL, right? Like where a team will say, oh, we'll just, like, if all of our guys, you know, we're just going to make sure all of our guys are healthy. And because of that, like, I think we could make an ascension. Like we've seen that backfire on teams. I think we saw that to a degree with the Jaguars maybe not being as aggressive as they needed to be with moves and that kind of having backfired. So I think that's kind of a concern I have, a concern I know other people have. But it's all, with the Colts, it's really just projection, right? Because they're going to need Josh Downs, was a really terrific slot receiver as a rookie, to take another step. There's going to be a lot on A.D. Mitchell, who they took in the second round, a first-round talent who dropped to the second round. They're going to need him to play really well, too. The tight end position, that's a spot of concern. Like, what are they going to get out of that group? And all of that on top of, is Anthony Richardson going to be healthy and consistently available for the whole season? So there's just so many factors with the Colts. Like so much with them, you have to kind of lean on projection. And because, like I said, they didn't make a lot of those big free agent acquisitions, you're kind of, you don't really know what to expect until you see these guys returning and what potential jump they can make. So they're like they're definitely, for me, the toughest assessment in the division just because of that.
Final moments with Ben Arthur of FoxSports.com and the Fox Sports app. That takes us to Houston. Everybody loves Houston, Ben. You cover this division every day. Do you love Houston coming into the year?
I'll say I like Houston. Their schedule concerns me. They have a really, really tough schedule. Of course, you have a first place schedule to keep in mind. They're not going to catch anyone off guard anymore. There's a full year of tape on Stroud. I think one of the most telling, I think we'll really learn about this Texans team in, I think like around Christmas, where they have 3 games in a 10-game span. I mean, three games in a 10-day span against the Chiefs, against the Ravens, and the Dolphins. So 3 playoff teams, including 2 teams who are AFC championship hopefuls, right? So I think we're really going to learn a lot about this team. But I think, just contrary to what the Colts have done, as we talked about, that the Texans were aggressive in bolstering their roster. They didn't sit on their laurels. They added Daniil Hunter. They added Azeez Al-Shire. They added Danico Autry. They traded for Stephon Diggs. They traded for Joe Mixon. They've given C.J. Stroud what he needs to continue to really maximize this window they have with Stroud. And so I think from a roster building personnel standpoint, they've done all the right things, but just because they have the target on their back now, because they're not going to catch anyone off guard anymore because of this schedule they have. And these are all things the Texans aren't used to being in. They're not used to being hyped. So how are they going to handle that? I think that's the biggest thing for me. I think they have the right leadership in place from everything I've seen from Stroud and from DeMeco Ryans. But that's going to be the big thing, right? Like, how does a franchise how do they handle expectation? Because they're not a franchise used to having that.
Ben, final question. We won't hold you to it. Hopefully we'll have you on prior to week 1. But as we sit now, training camps are opening. Houston's already in camp. The other 3 get into camp in the next 48 to 72 hours. How do you see the division here in the latter stages of July? If you had to do 1, 2, 3, and 4 right now, what's your assessment on that?
I'll do 1 Texans, of course. 2 Jags. 4 Titans. But I say all that with, I think this is going to be one of the most competitive divisions in the NFL. The Titans aren't going to be as bad as they were last year. They've, as we've talked about, they've revamped the roster. The Colts are kind of a wild card because of Anthony Richardson. And as I talked about at the beginning, I think this is the best roster the Jags have had around Trevor Lawrence. So this is going to be a very competitive division. So I think it's going to be a very close 1, 2, 3, 4. But that's how I think it's going to play out. Houston 1, Jacksonville 2, Indy 3, Tennessee 4.
Ben, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville as camps open up what you have coming out there on foxsports.com.
Yeah, I have a story on Anthony Richardson coming this week, a story on Will Levis coming this week as well. Not big stories, just kind of pre-training camp stories. And then, but yeah, those are the kind of the two things in the immediate future. And of course, I'll be on the ground at training camp initially with the Titans. And yeah, people can find me on X, Ben Y. Arthur. On Instagram, the same thing, and then on foxsports.com and the Fox Sports app as well, where the listeners can kind of keep up with me.
He's one of our favorites, Ben Arthur, foxsports.com and the Fox Sports app covering the AFC South. Ben, enjoy training camp. Let's do it again right before the season kicks off. Thank you as always, my friend.
Sounds good, Ryan. Thank you.
Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
And thank you to Ben Arthur of foxsports.com and the Fox Sports app for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark, as we'll be doing a lot of AFC South all week long as training camps are open. Again, the Texans have already been on the practice field for a couple of days. Tennessee, Indianapolis, and, of course, right here in Jacksonville will all get on the practice field in just a matter of hours, really. The Jaguars will be on the practice field. 8:30, I believe, is the time on Wednesday, as all the veterans report tomorrow, and their first practice is Wednesday morning. Well, we did a lot tonight here on Hacker After Dark. It's certainly to be good be back with you. Had a great vacation, don't get me wrong. Enjoyed some downtime. But that's basically it. I always have what I call my vacation family season and football season. And with the exception of one Friday night in August, I'm pretty much done now that football has arrived as training camp opens. In fact, 1 month from Wednesday is the first Saturday of college football, if you can believe that. So everything is right here on the doorstep. And we did a lot tonight. Again, Ben Arthur, foxsports.com and the Fox Sports app, talking AFC South. Thank you to Tyler Rowland, as we talked a lot of Titans tonight. He is the host of the Locked On Titans podcast. He's one of our guys up in Nashville. Tyler's a straight shooter, man. He'll tell you what he thinks. Whether you like him or not, he'll give you his opinion. And look, we appreciate that here on Hacker After Dark. All opinions are welcome. And we always appreciate Tyler coming on to talk Tennessee Titans with us. And back in hour number one, we talked a lot of Jaguars with my buddy Brian Sexton of Jaguars.com. It's almost become a yearly thing now, right on the doorstep of training camp. We have Brian Sexton on. That was no different tonight, as we talked about everything that transpired this offseason, and really what an offseason it was. I mean, take the draft and free agency out of the equation for a moment. The re-signing of Foye-Oluokun, the re-signing of Joshua Hines-Allen, the re-signing of Trevor Lawrence, and the stadium deal getting passed by the Jacksonville City Council. Maybe the biggest, most consequential offseason in the history of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't think I'm overstating that. And now here we are. Training camp begins on Wednesday. We will be back tomorrow night, and we will do it all over again on a Tuesday beginning at 8 o'clock. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the hacker, Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Monday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark, on 1010XL, and on 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have an absolutely terrific remainder of your Monday evening, and we will do it all over again tomorrow night on Training Camp Eve, if you will, on a Tuesday evening right here on Hacker After Dark.
She's not very good with numbers.
We've got your winning numbers right here.
Let's count to 10, all right?